Welcome to Pauline's Place. I really am in Pauline's Place this week. It's beautiful spring, but it's still cold. And I'm looking at photographs and having a lot of memories. Today the calendar says life itself is the most wonderful fairy tale. And guess who said that? Hans Christian Andersen, the writer of so many great, beautiful, exciting fairy tales. But actually, real life is not quite like a fairy tale. What happens in a fairy tale? You have a battle with evil, but good always wins, and a prince comes along to rescue you, or you find a pot of gold and you live happily ever after, and it just misses out on all the hard times. But what makes a real life like a fairy tale? Actually, it's just valuing your life and thinking about all of the good things that have happened, or the good people in your life. And very little of our life is perfect. Maybe hardly any of it has gone to plan. But is it without good things? I mean, I'm talking to the people who have the privilege of watching something on a computer screen, of having social media, of having time to look at something. There's millions of us. I probably am not talking to the millions of people who just every day fight for survival, because I don't even think they know about Hans Christian Andersen. So you and I do. And I just want to talk about something very wonderful in my life, and that's two people who've influenced me, and not my family or my mother or people who are blood related. And I've talked about one before, and that was June Delhi Watkins, and a beautiful, glamorous, wonderful lady who gave me belief in my appearance and in my ability to make the most of myself and my appearance. But there's this other person that I haven't talked with you about, and she's almost the opposite to June Delhi Watkins in some ways. And I'm just looking at a photo of her, Miss Guyot. Her name was Dolores. I never called her Dolores. It was always Miss Guyot, with great respect and honour. And she was the leader of all of the youth and children's camps that the Methodist Church ran in Queensland. She had particular focus on training the leaders for all of the children's camps. And there were many, many. Perhaps there were thousands of children in each school holiday period attending camps. And I met her because I applied to be a leader. And you had to be 16. And I was 14. And I wrote off my application, slipping in a dishonest number so I could be a leader. And it was at the Margate Children's Camp that I arrived. She accepted my application. I went to a one-day training before the camp started, and that was it. Well, it was so hard being a leader at a live-in camp. I had a team of 12 children, and they were aged between 7 and 11. And you were with them all day for the meals. You had duties, and then you watched them all as they went off to sleep. And then you had a leaders meeting, and then you had to get up. And I was struggling. And I was looking at leaders who were 21 down to 16, teacher trainees, teaching. I just felt so intimidated that I'd made a terrible mistake. Punishment for lying. That was what I was thinking. And they looked so confident, and I felt so lacking in confidence. And Miss Guyot attended this particular camp because it was very large. And I felt she was watching me all the time. Well, it got to Wednesday night, camp started Sunday afternoon, and I had a terrible, terrible headache. And I thought, I'm only going to rest for a little while. But you know, I slept through the evening meal. I slept through the concert program after. And I woke up early the next morning to my horror. And there was a little note just on my bed saying, Pauline, could I see you? Miss D. Guyot. I thought my days were numbered, ended, finished. I felt physically sick. I made my bed, I said good morning to all the children. I thanked them for looking after the program. They were so sweet. And I went to see Miss Guy and she said, Pauline, I know you're 14, but I still wanted you to come. I felt being at the camp I was at, you'll do okay. I've been watching you. You're doing a really good job. And the children managed so well at the concert last night and cleaned up their table because you'd showed them how. They were just concerned about your headache. You're doing a good job, and I hope you'll come back as a leader again. I could have cried with happiness. That affirmation, but yet the challenge. She was so direct. I knew you were young, but I was going to take the risk because I could be here. Do you know, what is influence about? I think influence is somehow at an important stage guaranteeing a person's success, letting them do the work, but being there to shelter them. That's what Miss Guy did for me that 1 week of my life. So, are you a Miss Guy? Are you a June Daly Watkins? It doesn't matter. You'll be someone else. But these women were almost the opposite in the way they spent their lives, but both had commitment to what they were doing and to who they were doing it with. And both had an enormous sense of peace about what they were doing. It influenced me greatly. Dolores Guyot was a great woman. And you know, when I compared the two of them, she didn't care about fashion. June Daly Watkins cared for the meaning of fashion and how it could affect the confidence of young women's lives. Which is more important? Actually, to me, I can't even weigh that up. And I wanted to tell you about this woman, Miss Guy. She was in the church. She gave her life to it, but she gave her life to people like me. I think, in many ways, influence and how it affects you in a good way makes the fairy tale element of life come alive. We all have the opportunity to influence. And I thank you for letting me share my story. I'll see you tomorrow.